Hey, I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi, and you're watching Millennium News Channel. Today, I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Today's headlines are: Egypt hosts Fatah Hamas ceasefire talks in Gaza. Angry crowds throw mud at Spain's king in flood-hit Valencia. Moldova votes for president in runoff elections as Russia hovers. Russia claims capture of new East Ukrainian villages, Defense Ministry said. Russia launched around 900 bombs, 500 Shad drones and 30 missiles at Ukraine over past week, Zelensky said. Kemi Badenoch wins Conservative leadership contest, pitching party to the right after blowout UK elections loss. Ozempic linked to 10 deaths in the UK as health officials issue urgent warning. Is the weight loss drug safe? Jeff Bezos sells over $3 billion in Amazon shares, becomes second richest person. Trump is using Biden's garbage gaffe to raise a stink, seal the election. Iran issues strong protest after Berlin decision to close consulates in Germany. North Korea says it conducted new ICBM test days ahead of US election. Yemen rebels get unprecedented outside military support, UN reports. Deliberate leak to discredit India lodges protest with Canada over baseless and absurd references to Home Minister Amit Shah. Death toll raises as protesters rage against Mozambique election result. Almost 24 countries at high risk of acute hunger, UN report reveals. UN rules forcible sterilization of women in Peru, crime against humanity. Woman arrested in Iran after stripping during anti-harassment protest. Cristiano Ronaldo booed by Al Hilal fans with Lionel Messi chants. Portugal star comes up with perfect response. The Netherlands' Abdi Nagy wins thrilling men's race at New York City Marathon. Manchester United announces Ruben Amorim as the team's new coach. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned for more updates.
Millennium Day News is a global news network dedicated to providing high-quality coverage across a wide range of topics, including local, regional, national, and international issues. Operating 24/7, the network emphasizes inclusivity, offering a platform for diverse voices and covering essential subjects such as arts, culture, religion, education, and legal advice. Based in New York City, Millennium Day News connects communities worldwide through engaging programming that includes political discussions, sports news, health segments, and entertainment features. To ensure accessibility, viewers can access content via mobile apps, iOS and Android, Internet Smart TVs, and streaming services like Roku and Amazon Fire, as well as through IPTV and satellite networks. For more information and updates, visit their websites millenniumnews24.com and millenniumtv24.com or follow them on social media and YouTube under Millennium News 24. As they continue to expand, viewers can look forward to a broader array of news programs that reflect the diversity of the global community. Whether you're interested in current events or cultural discussions, Millennium Day.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simara and you are watching Millennium News of the Week update. Here are the latest updates. Cairo is hosting meetings between Fatah and Hamas to discuss forming a committee to run Gaza as part of post-war plans. A senior Egyptian security source has revealed to Millennium News. The move is part of Egypt's mediation efforts involving Palestinian and Israel parties to reach a ceasefire and expand humanitarian aid access. The sources also said that Hamas insists that the talks should lead a comprehensive agreement that secures an end to the war and also achieves a hostage for prisoners swap deal. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, however, has said war can only end once Hamas is eradicated. The King and Queen of Spain have been pelted with mud and other objects by angry protesters during a visit to the flood-hit town of Paparota. Shouts of murderer and shame were directed at the royal delegation as they walked through the town, one of the worst affected areas of the Valencia region. With mud on their faces and clothes, King Philip and Queen Letizia were later seen consoling members of the crowd. More than 200 people were killed in the floods, the worst in Spain for decades. Emergency workers are contributing to comb through underground park and tunnels in the hope of finding survivors and recovering bodies. Spain Prime Minister has ordered 5,000 more troops and 5,000 more police officials and civil guards to the Valencia region as residents criticize local authorities over their response to catastrophic flooding. This comes after several locations in southern and eastern Spain have gotten 12 inches of rain in just a few hours on Tuesday. According to a state weather agency, authorities have restored electricity to more than 90% of the homes and brought back almost half of telephone lines that had gone down. The government also authorized 100 interim civil servants to help distribute financial aid. Local authorities are facing criticism over the spread of the response and for a lack of warning in advance of the flooding. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has vowed to do whatever it takes to help those affected by the disaster. Moldovans are going to the polls for a second round vote to choose between the incumbent pro-EU President Maya Sandu and a Russian-friendly challenger. Despite securing 42% of the votes in the first round, Sandu faces a tough challenge in Sunday's runoff against an opposition bloc led by Alexander of the Socialist Party, which aligns with Moscow. The elections in this small nation of under 3 million people in southeastern Europe follows a referendum in which a slim majority voted in favor of pursuing membership of the EU. Since the breakup of Soviet Union, Moldova has gravitated between pro-Western and pro-Russian courses. But under Sandu, a former World Bank advisor, the improvised countries has escalated to push the escape of Moscow's orbit. November 3, Moldova will decide its path in a highly anticipated presidential runoff that could determine whether the nation contributes its journey towards European Union or Moscow. This being said, Moldova and Georgia illustrates the direct or indirect interference by both the West and Russia as they vie the respective interest in these countries. Russia's defense ministry on Saturday, November 2, claimed the capture of two new villages in eastern Ukraine as its troops advanced rapidly. The Russian defense ministry said its forces in the Donetsk region had liberated the large village of Karakiva close to the industrial town of Karakovo, which Russia is also aiming to capture. It likewise claimed the small villages of Pershidavar in the Kharkiv region close to the eastern Lugansk region. The Russian army took 479 kilometers of Ukrainian territory in October, a record since first weeks of the conflict in March 2022. Russia attacked Ukraine with over 900 bombs, almost 500 Shahed drones, and almost 30 missiles over the past week, President Zelensky said on the morning of November 3. Most of these strikes targeted civilian facilities and critical infrastructure, according to Zelensky. Zelensky said via this Telegram channel that such attacks would be impossible if allies provided Ukraine with sufficient long-range striking capabilities, imposed truly effective sanctions against Russia that would prevent it from importing critical components for the production of drones and missiles, and make political decisions that can destroy Russia's will to fight. Ukraine deserves the same reliable security as all our other partners in the free world, the Ukrainian president concluded. Russia attack against Ukraine killed 3 people and wounded after another 24, as well as destroyed and damaged multiple homes and infrastructure facilities in the past days, regional authorities reported on November 3. Britain's humbled Conservative Party elected Kemi Badenoch as its new leader on Saturday, turning to a right-wing favourite who has railed against identity politics, transgender rights and state spending to rebuild its reputation after a devastating election defeat. Badenoch defeated Robert Jendrick in a vote of party members by 53,000 votes to 41,000 votes after a month-long contest to replace Rishi Sunak as leader. She is the first black woman to lead a majority British political party. Her selection all but ensures a rightward shift to Britain's political discourse over the next several years and creates a jarring stylistic clash between the new opposition leaders and Labour's serious, straight-laced Prime Minister. Her task now is to revive a party still coming to terms with its worst ever election result. The Tories were dumped in the general election, reflecting public anger over their management of the economy, crime, immigration and standards in public life. Both candidates had insisted that the Tories can return to power in the next election, which will take place in 2029 or earlier, but it will take a tall order in the bloc and the catastrophe will be ended. Rishi Sunak may prove an impediment, and while Saturday result finally ends an extended period of limbo at the head of the party, it will do nothing to quiet a cacophony of competing voices about where the Conservatives should plant their flag. UK health authorities have reported at least 10 deaths and more than 7,000 illnesses in those taking weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy. Medicines watchdog Healthcare Products Regulatory Authority says while many of the reports of fatalities can just be unfortunate coincidences, the agency does admit that the drugs have had unpleasant and widespread side effects associated with them. The Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, or MHRA, said at least 68 patients were admitted to hospital over their grave symptoms after particular usage of Wegovy and Ozempic, touted as miracle weight loss jabs designed for managing type 2 diabetes. Since the finding of deaths and hospitalization came to light, these drugs should not have been authorized, is what is said, as aesthetic weight loss. It has also warned of potential black market for the drugs, issuing advice to patients to always prescribe a registered professional. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar and keep watching Millennium News.
Millennium Day News is a global news network dedicated to providing high-quality coverage across a wide range of topics, including local, regional, national, and international issues. Operating 24/7, the network emphasizes inclusivity, offering a platform for diverse voices and covering essential subjects such as arts, culture, religion, education, and legal advice. Based in New York City, Millennium Day News connects communities worldwide through engaging programming that includes political discussions, sports news, health segments, and entertainment features. To ensure accessibility, viewers can access content via mobile apps, iOS and Android, Internet Smart TVs, and streaming services like Roku and Amazon Fire, as well as through IPTV and satellite networks. For more information and updates, visit their websites millenniumnews24.com and millenniumtv24.com or follow them on social media and YouTube under Millennium News 24. As they continue to expand, viewers can look forward to a broader array of news programs that reflect the diversity of the global community. Whether you're interested in current events or cultural discussions, Millennium Day.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar and you're watching Millennium News of the Day. Here are the latest updates. Jeff Bezos sold $3 billion in Amazon shares, totaling more than $13 billion in 2024. With a net worth of $222 billion, he is the world's second richest person after Elon Musk. Bezos has sold over $3 billion in Amazon shares, according to a regulatory filing disclosed on Friday. This brings his total Amazon stock sales of 2024 to be $13 billion. Bezos sold more than 16 million shares as Amazon stock again approached $200 billion per share, reached to the level back in July when Bezos also sold shares. In the Nasdaq, Amazon 1997 was the last high. Now 2022 billion, Bezos ranks as the second richest person on the Bloomberg Billionaire Index, up to $42 billion year-over-year due Amazon stock performance. Elon Musk continues to dominate the first spot. The 224 US presidential election has taken a different turn after US President Joe Biden called Donald Trump supporters garbage. Trump is trying to use Biden's remark against Kamala Harris to seal the election. Donald Trump arrived at a Wisconsin rally in a garbage truck. It read, "Trump, he knows how to make a show." This was after US President Joe Biden called his supporters garbage, that Trump saw an opportunity to come with props and a vest. People took notice of both Biden comments and Trump's effort to call it out and sway the elections in his favor. The statement by Biden would put his vice president and presidential candidate Kamala Harris in a tough spot. Iran on Thursday summoned the fear of the German embassy in Tehran to issue a protest after Berlin said it would close 3 Iranian consulates in Germany. A foreign ministry statement condemned this move as an irrational decision that cannot be justified and said Germany envoy was summoned to relay Iran's strong protest. German ambassador to Tehran, Markus Potzel, has already been recalled to Berlin for consultations. The German government decision to close these centers deliberately deprives Iranian of the benefits of consular facilities and services. The foreign ministry statement said it warned that Germany's unconstructive and confidential approach is a major miscalculation and the German government will be responsible for its consequences. North Korea said it tested a new intercontinental ballistic missile on Thursday morning, a launch believed to have arrived the longest flight time yet for a North Korean missile. The new perfected Hwasong 19 missile was launched just day before the United States presidential election on Tuesday and after warnings from South Korea's intelligence agency that Pyongyang was planning to launch an ICBM to test its recent technology around the time of the vote. The test also comes as North Korea appears to have intensified its nuclear production efforts and strengthened ties with Russia, deepening widespread concern in the West over the isolated nation's direction. North Korea on Friday said that the new Hwasong 19 missile reached to a maximum altitude of 7,300 km and flew a distance of 1,000 km. The last test of the latest strategic weapon system demonstrated the modernity and credibility of its world's most powerful strategic deterrent, the country's state-run KCNA news outlet said in a commentary. United Nations, November 2, 2024, Yemen's Houthi rebels are transforming themselves into a powerful military organization due to unprecedented military support from outside sources, particularly Iran and Hezbollah, according to the UN report published Friday. Since the beginning of the war in Gaza last year, the Houthis, who have controlled large swaths of torn Yemen for a decade, have exploited the regional situation and enhanced cooperation with the axis of resistance, which includes Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah, the United Nations expert said. The panel noted the transformation of the Houthis from a localized armed group with limited capabilities to a powerful military organization, extending their operational capabilities well beyond the territory under their control. The rebels have also benefited from training and technical assistance provided by the Quds Force and Foreign Operation Arm of Iran Revolutionary Guards, as well as Hezbollah and pro-Iran groups in Iraq, the UN expert said. Reports says Houthis have carried out a vast recruitment project resulting in a force that numbered 3,500,000 in the 2024. While the panel has not been able to independently verify the number of newly recruited fighters, but a large mobilization have taken place. India has lodged protest in strongest terms on the absurd and baseless references made by a Canadian minister about Home Minister Amit Shah, the External Affairs Ministry said on Saturday. The latest row between Canada and India erupted after Morrison confirmed Shah's name during a parliamentary session, linking him to actions targeting Sikh activists. The allegations follow accusations made by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau about the Indian agents' involvement in the murder of Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. In addition to these accusations, Canada has labelled India as an adversary in its national cyber threat assessment, further straining diplomatic ties. The report suggests that Indian state-sponsored cyber actors may conduct espionages against Canada. Police accused of killing at least 11 armed bystanders since 24 October amid claims polls was rigged. Before the vote, civil society groups had accused Frelimo of registering almost 900,000 fake voters out of an electorate of 17 million. Mozambique Catholic bishops alleged there have been ballot stuffing, while election observers said there have been irregularities during the counting and unjustified alteration of election result. Allegations of vote rigging were already swirling, and filmmaker and this guy were shot dead by unknown gunman. Human rights researchers have said that the shootings fit a pattern of opposition politicians, journalists, activists, and lawyers being killed and no one being brought to justice. We're talking about Mozambique, where elections have been rigged. Acute food insecurity is expected to worsen in war-stricken Sudan and nearly 24 other countries and territories in the next 6 months, largely as a result of conflict and violence. An analysis by the UN Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Food Programme has found. The latest edition of the twice-yearly Hunger Hotspots report, published on Thursday, previously early warnings on food crisis and situations around the world where food insecurity is likely to worsen, with a focus on the most severe and deteriorating situations of acute hunger. Sudan is in the midst of deadly war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support force that has lasted 18 months and created one of the world's worst humanitarian crisis. In one town, children are reported to have been dying of hunger every day. The challenges have intensified in recent months. Famine was declared at one displacement camp, and heavy rains caused flood that led to death and displacement. The report says intensification of the war would cause further mass displacement and worsen the humanitarian crisis. A UN committee has urged Peru to compensate women who are forcibly sterilized in the 1990s, ruling that the state policy could constitute a crime against humanity. Forced sterilization was part of a program implemented by Peru's then president Alberto Fujimori during the final 4 years after he left office in 2000. After a decade in power, the United Nations Committee on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women said hundreds of thousands of people had been affected. The 23-member committee issued its finding after reviewing a joint complaint by 5 victims. The victims claimed that the forced sterilization they underwent had severe and permanent consequences for their physical and mental health. While Peru had argued the sterilization program was part of a broader reproductive health policy with procedures carried out on both men and women, the experts noted that 25,000 men were forcibly sterilized compared with over 30,100 women. Amnesty International has called on authorities in Iran to immediately and unconditionally release a female student who was arrested after stripping to her underwear in what the organization described as a public protest against harassment relating to the country's strict dress code. The incident took place after the woman, who has not been identified, reportedly had a confrontation with members of the Bazis paramilitary force who ripped her handscarf and tore at her clothes inside Tehran's prestigious Islamic Azad University. Videos posted to social media appears to show the woman removing her clothes and walking out on the street in her underwear. A second video appears to show the woman being bundled into a car by men in plain clothes. The student media outlet woman has said that they harassed a Basji member for not wearing a handscarf and wearing loose-fitting clothes in public. Now time for some sports highlights. Cristiano Ronaldo's Saudi Pro League title ambitions received a huge setback as Al Nassr were held to a 1-1 draw against leaders Al Hilal in Riyadh on Friday. During the match, Ronaldo was booed by Al Hilal fans who chanted Lionel Messi name. The Portugal star came up with the perfect response and showed a thumbs up sign to the fans. The Netherlands' Abdi Nagy won a thrilling men's race at the New York City Marathon on Sunday, while Kenya's Sheila Chepkirui marked her debut with a victory in the women's race. Nagy produced a powerful sprint finish to edge ahead of 2022 winner Evans in race closing stages and crossed the line in a time of 2 hours 7 minutes 39 seconds, 6 seconds faster than Chabert. Manchester United has announced the appointment of Ruben Amorim as the club's new first-team head coach, following the sacking of Erik ten Hag. Amorim, a former Portugal international, joins United pending work visa requirements from Portuguese side Sporting CP, where he had been the manager since March 2022. In his first full seasons in charge at Sporting in the 2021 campaign, Amorim led the club to the first Portuguese league title in 19 years. Before winning a second title last season, the 39-year-old has also won Portuguese League Cup twice. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA for Android and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24.